Hey there. Isn't it wild how in a split second you can go from a seemingly normal and stable state of mind to then someone says something or something suddenly happens in your environment that negatively triggers an emotion within you, and that triggering event hijacks your attention. And I don't know anyone who hasn't had their buttons pushed. I mean, I sure have a million times. And as soon as it happens, emotions heighten and you can get agitated or upset or sad just by what someone said. And shock and surprise is a trigger to our nervous system. And even if you practice mindfulness regularly, you can be affected if you are caught by surprise, and especially like in our current chaotic times. And also, I just wanted to mention this. This is going to be a bit longer of a video because it's going to be jam-packed with value. And at the same time, there is no way I can get everything I want to say about this subject in a simple video. So if you like what is shared here, let me know in the comments, and let me know if you would like me to do a live video with you on how to process and transmute triggers in real time. So I want to show you a really basic framework that will help you map out how this triggering thing works. And then I'll give you some tips on what to do to deal with your inner state of being so that the trigger doesn't spin you out of control. Because, well, you really don't want to end up having regrets or long-term relationship fallouts because you got triggered. And by the way, why this matters is because your best intuitive sense making is done when you can regulate your mind and body from the inside, while also having the humility to understand what is outside of you and is out of your control. And you can, as you know, you can never control anything outside of you, but you can regulate what is going on inside of you. So when you get triggered, there are 4 main ingredients that, when mixed together, has the potential to create an out-of-control cocktail. And one of the ingredients is external, outside of you, that you have no control over. And the other 3 ingredients are internal, inside your mind and your body, that you do have control over. So the 4 ingredients are the trigger, and then defense, time, and pressure. So the one ingredient you cannot control, and that is external to you, is the trigger that causes or sets off a cascading effect that activates the other 3 ingredients that are inside of you. So the 3 ingredients inside of you are: 1, your defenses. And these are the buttons that others can push that are unique to you. And then number 2 is time. And time holds your memory of past events that are your personal timeline and that represent your past history. And then number 3 is pressure, your capacity to deal with conflict and uncertainty when you are under pressure. And these 3 ingredients of defense, time, and pressure are the 3 ingredients that you do have control of when you get triggered. So let's break this down with an example. So again, this is going to be really long, so bear with me, okay? I'm going to give you examples of how the defense and time and pressure shows up after you've been triggered. And then I want to offer you tips for how to regulate yourself. So say the trigger is criticism. your boss or your client or your partner gives you criticism on your work or your performance. Well, this trigger begins that was outside of you, a cascading effect, and pushes on your defense buttons, activating your old habits of defense. And you have very specific things that you value and are very specific things that are meaningful to you. You could say these things you're sensitive to, but maybe, other people are not as sensitive to. So subconsciously, you protect or defend for those values. And when that button is pushed, it's like when that person criticizes you, there's this alarm system that sets off this knee-jerk reaction and you get defensive. And maybe your subconscious habit is to protect your reputation, like you need to be perceived as perfect or being right. Or you are overly concerned about what people think. Maybe you're overly concerned with approval and you just can't tolerate criticism and it really feels threatening. So you may start to argue and self-justify your position in your mind, or even start an argument with the other person and give reasons why you're right and they are wrong. So you become defensive instead of being curious and open to what the other person has to say, so that you can actually genuinely get more information to understand the other person. Or you may even close down completely and tune out. There's so many ways, right? So if your defense buttons are pushed regularly and you get triggered easily, my tip for you to work with your defense buttons is this. So practicing the art of developing a strong, open heart so you can tolerate listening to the criticism with an open mind, while also, this is very important, learning and developing strong boundaries to support you, especially if you're dealing with manipulation or disrespect from somebody else. So this method could be called guard down, boundaries up. And I practice the idea of my guard down with boundaries up by having my heart open, while also having very clear and discerning boundaries. And it sounds like a paradox, right? Because it is. You can be both open and strong. And having strong boundaries with people who have weak or no boundaries at all is important, so you don't get derailed or hijacked by unconscious manipulation, while you are also keeping your heart and mind wide open. So this is a healthy balance to keep your defenses in check and also develop your discernment. So let's move on to how time affects you when you get triggered. So as soon as your defense buttons are activated, your mind can easily jump out of the present time and it hops onto a different timeline, usually a memory from your past history. And this is what it means to be out of the present moment. So the trigger popped your mind and body onto a past memory that has been laying dormant, kind of underneath the surface of your awareness. Maybe an unhealed trauma or maybe an unmet need. And most likely, your personal history has some event or memory that reminds you of being criticized, of when you were picked on or made to feel less than, or nothing you did was right or good enough. So when criticism happens, that triggered a memory from your old past timeline. So the tip I have for you when this happens is to remember that if you are triggered or agitated, you have most likely popped out of the present moment and onto another timeline from your past. So your job in this moment is to reroute yourself back into the present moment and remind yourself where you are located in time. And you can even say to yourself, in your mind, you're not 12 years old. You are here right now in this moment at the age that you are currently, and you are being provided an opportunity to respond from a new position, your current mature age. You're not a child. This is your moment to shine, and in doing so, you transmute that old trauma and you lay down new tracks in your mind and the timeline of what is true today. No one is out to get you, and you're okay. And if you're not okay, and if you are truly, truly being treated poorly, it may be time to quit that job and get out of that environment, right? But right now, I just want you to know you need to remain in present time for real change to occur. Otherwise, you will always be operating from a past timeline that's not accurate to what is happening right now. So let's move on to how pressure affects you when you get triggered. So as soon as you are on this other timeline and you are out of the present moment, pressure builds inside your body because you have not resolved this conflict from the past. And there's a lot of energetic charge and a buildup of pressure from the past. And if you have not resolved issues with conflict from your past, you will not have a healthy relationship to the pressures you are dealing with today. And if you have not resolved conflict in your mind and body, you will feel a pressure build up within you, giving you a visceral sensation of this pressure inside, and you will easily get overwhelmed. So, if you deal with overwhelm, this trigger is presenting you with the opportunity so you can create more space and resilience in your body to deal with external pressure. And this is so important so that you can be less fragile and sensitive to the trigger. So when you build space in your body, you are literally building a larger capacity of resilience in your body. And then you can meet challenges more effectively when you have the capacity from within. So you won't be so overwhelmed by external triggering events. So the pressure of the triggering event is calling you forward to deal with this internal conflict that is within you and is showing you where there are some, fragile areas within you. So my tip for you right now is to create a daily practice of intentional breathing to increase your capacity to deal with pressure in your body more effectively. So you can find lots and lots of different breathing techniques, and no one way is better than the other. The most simple breathing technique you can do immediately is taking a deep breath in and slowly breathing out. So take twice as much time to breathe out than it took you to breathe in. Keep it simple, and over time, you will build more capacity in your body to be able to stand up to pressure in your life. So again, those 4 ingredients of a triggering event is the trigger, your defense buttons, your personal timeline, and your relationship with pressure. Trigger, defense, time, pressure. So surrender to the fact that you cannot control external triggers in your life, but you can practice how you work with your defenses by having an open heart with strong boundaries. And you can practice being in the now moment to keep you in present time. And you can practice your breathing to help you build your inner capacity to deal with pressure. And you will be transmuting the trigger in real time. And you will walk away from the conflict with more of your energy, more of your personal power. And you will have led your mind and body to a whole new level of self-leadership. So when you transmute your triggers in real time as they are happening in relationship with others, you will be the most empowered leader of your own life, and you will also be an entrusted leader for others. So I really hope this was helpful and this information can be of service to your life and to the lives of others. So from my intuitive heart to yours, thank you.